Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kelsey and I'm here today to do my April TBR. So we're here, we're queer, we have makeup on, we're gonna do the April TBR. It's quite a hefty one, but I have a lot of books that I really want to read, and for some reason I wanted to read them all this month. So that's the case, that's what we're doing. Let's get into it. So I will start off the TBR by saying I have a secret video coming out where I read these 3 books. I'm not going to explain what the concept is. I'm not going to explain how these are related. You're just going to have to wait for that video. It'll probably be one of the first vlogs I film in the month of April. Why am I forgetting? But it will be one of the first vlogs I film in the month of April, so you will definitely be seeing what these 3 books are relatively soon. So the first actual book that I'm going to talk about that I need to read in the month of April is an arc for I Am the Ghost in Your House by Maria Ramasco Moore, and this is a horror arc. I have been getting into horror like crazy this year. I don't know who I am. I don't know what has become of me, but I am a spooky bitch. So basically, this is the story of a girl who has this invisible power, from what I understand. So she is like living in this house. She is not technically a ghost, but she is invisible. So basically the way that Pi looks changes depending on what is behind her. So she could be a girl of glass, she could be a girl in a window. If she stands in front of a floral wallpaper, she is full of roses. That's really beautiful imagery that I love. For her entire life, it's just been Pi and her mother, and the 2 of them travel across America. They sleep in trains, in mattress stores, on the bare ground. They have probably slept inside your house, and that is the creepiest statement I've ever read in my whole entire life, and I'm questioning my entire house right now. But basically, the next city Pi gets to choose, and Pi wants to go to Pittsburgh because that's where she fell in love with a girl who she plans to find once again, and this time she will reveal herself. Sounds spooky, sounds spookier than I expected it to be. I don't even think I read that part of the synopsis when I requested it. This one comes out April 19th, so it's also another book I would like to get to earlier on in the month so I can send my review their way. The next book I would like to read is continuing my Lord of the Rings, like reread, but now read, because this is the first time I'm diving into the Simarillion. If you've watched any of my wrap-ups, TBRs for this entire year so far, I have been rereading the Lord of the Rings in preparation to pick up the Simarillion. I'm not gonna get the other book that's like down there under a pile of books, but I read it at the same time that I read the Encyclopedia of Tolkien by David Day. And with these 2, I'm really grasping a better understanding and a more like academic understanding of the Lord of the Rings universe, of Tolkien's universe. I love Tolkien. I think he was a brilliant scholar, and I have read Tolkien academically in my English degree, and I'm kind of like missing that, I guess, so I'm doing it on my own time. The Simarillion is the epic legendary precursor to the Lord of the Rings. That I knew. The Simarilli were 3 perfect jewels created by Fëanor, most gifted of the High Elves. When the first Dark Lord Morgoth stole the jewels and set them within an iron crown in his impenetrable fortress of Agband, Fëanor and his kind took up arms against the gods and waged a long and terrible war to recover them. This is the story of the heroism of the elves and men in the first age of Middle Earth, the foundations of the world and its peoples before the great events recorded in The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings. This is, I guess, the history, heritage, whatever of The Lord of the Rings. If I can find an audiobook for it, I would like to listen to them because I really enjoy the Lord of the Rings like audiobooks. I don't think Andy Serkis has narrated the Simarillion, but you know what, let's check, because if he has, I'm interested. So there is an audiobook. It's not narrated by Andy Serkis, but I'm still super interested. I can't wait to pick this up. I've been really looking forward to diving further back into the Lord of the Rings like lore, so this is really exciting for me. And once I'm done this, I could finally pick up the other books that I've been interested in, and especially I'm really keen to pick up his like reimaginings of medieval works like Beowulf and Gawain and the Green Knight. So I'm here for it. I'm ready. This is what I've been rereading for. So the next book is another like pseudo horror book that I'm reading because every month I take part in Books and Lala's Buzzwordathon, and the word for the month of April, oh my god, is small little like that kind of thing. So this is Small Spaces by Catherine Arden. I love Catherine Arden's Winter Witch series, I think it was called. The Bear and the Nightingale, that series. Absolutely love that fantasy series. And this is Catherine Arden's middle grade, like her steps into middle grade, which I think is really interesting and something that I would love to read. This follows a girl named Ollie, and her friends are going on a school trip to a farm, I guess. Are they not on a school trip? So it is on a school trip to a nearby farm, and Ollie and her friends Coco and Brian set off on this adventure into the woods with the scarecrows watching their backs in order to save their classmates and beat the villainous Smiling Man at his own game. I know this is for middle grade, but I'm a little chicken shit, so I know this will scare me. Very excited. Like I said, I'm in my horror era, so really looking forward to this. Then, if you have not heard, me and Hanani are doing a read along for the Percy Jackson series, and the month of April we are reading the second book, which is Percy Jackson and the Sea of Monsters. If you don't know what this series is about, it basically follows a kid named Percy who one day discovers that he is kind of closely tied to the Greek gods, and the mythos of the Greek gods come out of his pages. He interacts with some of the gods, and when the bolt of Zeus is missing, Percy is kind of set onto this journey to discover what went wrong. Very brief synopsis, a synopsis that I didn't know for a really long time until I read the book, but this is the second book, The Sea of Monsters. I'm not entirely sure what it follows, but I know that Percy Jackson is in 7th grade. Not a single monster has set foot on his New York prep school campus. So Percy's living life. We're gonna see how it relates to the rest of the series. I gave Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief like a 5 out of 5 stars. I was enamored with it. I loved it. And particularly that is due to Rick Riordan's writing and Percy Jackson as a character in general. And both of those two aspects I really enjoyed in the novel. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how this develops further in the series. Also with this read along, me and Haunani do one reading sprint a month, and we both put out vlogs. So I don't know exactly when the reading sprints will happen for this, but be sure to follow both of our channels and we're gonna put it up eventually. After that, my biggest shame, I still have not finished the Poppy War trilogy, and I really want to. This is The Burning God by R.F. Kuang. It is a chunker and a half, 617 pages that I know will make me cry. If you don't know what this series is about, it follows a young girl named Rin who is living with this family at the beginning of the first book. She is kind of being forced to marry this man, but Rin decides that she doesn't want that life, so she studies really hard to make it into the prestigious military academy in her country. The book is heavily influenced by Chinese mythology and Chinese history, so it can be extremely difficult to deal with at some times. The series gets really dark because the characters are kind of tasked and forced to make these really difficult decisions, and that's something that I really appreciate about the novel. R.F. Kuang's writing is super easy to get into, so I'm not worried about this taking long, even though it is really chunky, because I can read 200 pages of R.F. Kuang's writing in like an hour. She is a queen of pacing. I absolutely love this series. I think this is a pretty much guaranteed 5 stars, so I just really need to pick it up and stop being afraid of it. After that, my friend Lucy over at Looney Lucy hosts a book club every month called Why Haven't I Read This Yet? And it's basically catching up on series that why haven't we read? You know what I mean? The book for March was A Discovery of Witches by Deborah Harkness. I knew that. I didn't get a chance to read it yet. I'm hoping to maybe read this before the live show. Can't say that I'm the most excited for this book because basically I've just heard it's like an adult Twilight. So it could be good. It could be bad. I don't know how I'm gonna feel about it. Deep in the heart of Oxford's library, Diana Bishop is a young scholar and a descendant of witches, and she unearths an enchanted alchemical manuscript. Wanting nothing to do with sorcery, she banishes the books to the stacks. But her discovery has set a fantastical underworld stirring, and soon a horde of demons, witches, and other creatures descends upon the library. Among them is the enigmatic Matthew Claremont, a vampire with a keen interest in the book. I know my own self that I'm either gonna love this book or I'm gonna hate this book, and I'm excited to discover which is which. Which is which? How clever. After that, for Mel Reads' Patreon book club, we are continuing with our read of the Athena Club series. I forget what this series is called. The Extraordinary Adventures of the Athena Club, and we're continuing it with the European Travel for the Monstrous Gentlewoman by Theodora Goss. Her titles are a mouthful. So last month I read the first book in this series and I really liked it. This series kind of surrounds a girl named Mary Jekyll, who is the son of Dr. Jekyll, and her world kind of comes to a halt when her father disappears, and many people believe it is at the hands of a man named Mr. Hyde. Mr. Hyde has a daughter named Diana Hyde, so she goes to unravel the mystery, and along the way she meets a bunch of daughters of like literary figures. So we have Beatrice Rappaccini, Catherine Moreau, Justine Frankenstein, and I think that is it. And I don't know if they meet anyone else, but I love this series. It has the mystery element that I find incredibly charming, incredibly engaging, while at the same time being really clever and funny, because within the novel, the girls kind of interject each other. So they're writing this book together and they'll be like, that's not how it happened, or let me describe it this way. And I think it's really fun, really interesting. The first book in the series I read via audio and physical, so I think I might do it this time around again, especially because like it's much larger than the first book. I cannot believe how big this book is. I don't know what the heck happens in this. This book is like over 700 pages. We're gonna get through it. I'm really excited. The pacing is really quick in this one, and the mysteries are always like fun and interesting. So I do think I can finish this. It's just like, whoa, This is huge. After that, I would like to continue my read through of the Wheel of Time series by Robert Jordan with the Dragon Reborn. This is the 3rd book in the series. So I'm slowly making my way through because Robert Jordan's writing is a bit like, I don't know how to, like, simple. And it takes a lot out of me to read the books, even though I am really enjoying them. So this is also like one of the shorter books I think that Robert Jordan has published in this series. This series follows a boy named Rand who, along with his friends Matt and Piran, are kind of picked up by this witchy woman, and this woman is an Aes Sedai. She has kind of been tasked with finding the new dragon, and the dragon is the person in this world that can either join the dark side or defeat the dark side, and the dragons are able to control the magical elements, which in this world only the women who are tasked with being Aes Sedais are able to do. Obviously a lot of stuff happens from there, but that is the bare bones synopsis. We are in the 3rd book. I'm not going to get too much into spoilers. I have been enjoying this series. It's just taking me a long time to get into them, but based on the ending of the 2nd book, I'm really excited to get into this one and see how the story is developing, how their journey is developing. I really like Moraine, I really like Egwene, and I really like Nynaeve, and I just really like the female characters in this. I could do without the men, I'll be honest, but this is a novel like written in the 90s, so whatever. Itching to pick it up because I do kind of, if not want to finish this series this year, get a bigger dent into it, and part of that is reading them, so. And the last book I would like to read this month is Recursion by Blake Crouch. I bought this book at the beginning of my booktube journey, which was like 2019. When was this published? Yeah, 2019. So this is one of the older books on my TBR, and I really do want to tackle it. At the time, I picked up Dark Matter by Blake Crouch, and I really loved it. Like, really loved it. It was the first time I had like an experience with sci-fi thriller type of vibes, and I absolutely adored it. And I really enjoyed Blake Crouch's writing, so I do think that I'll probably enjoy this a lot as well. It has a different premise. It really has to do with like memory and stuff like that. So basically there is a phenomena that there is this like false memory syndrome, and it's a mysterious affliction that drives its victim mad with memories of a life that they've never lived. A neuroscientist named Helena Smith dedicated her life to creating a technology that will let people preserve their most precious memories. So like a first kiss, a birth of a child, the final moment with a dying parent, that kind of thing. As Detective Barry Sutton, who is a New York City cop, searches for the truth, he comes face to face with an opponent more terrifying than any disease. And as its effects begin to unmake the world as they know it, only him and Helena working together will stand a chance to defeat it. Sounds really cool to me. Really interested in picking it up. I'll see what the vibes are. I'm hoping to really enjoy this as well. So that's it. Those are all of the many books I want to read this month in April. Please wish me luck because I will need it. I do absolutely want to get through all of these books, so send me all of the good vibes. If you have liked any of these books or even hated any of these books, please let me know down below. I love to know what people are thinking about books. I want to know like what the vibes are, what I should be prepared of going in. If you would like to follow me on any of my other social medias in order to get updates on this, I do leave a link down below to my Twitter, Goodreads, and Instagram if you would like to follow me there. And then because it is the end of the video, please do not forget to like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell if you haven't, because it makes me feel really good. It does wonders for my channel. I feel loved. Please and thank you. And that's it. I don't know how to end these things ever, so I will just see you next time, okay? Bye.